Welcome to another episode of Ask Shane. So this question, I think it's one that many of us probably have thought about, certainly would have explored, especially leading up to our experiences that have kind of shown us that there's something else going on around us. So the lady's question is, so I've always wondered why they don't just knock us over the head from the get-go. Okay, the question reads as, Hi Shane, I don't think I've ever asked this, and I feel like I should know the answer. I think so at least. Laugh out loud. I think people always have spiritual interaction. They just tend to maybe deny it or say it's just a coincidence or excuse it in some other way, sometimes even becoming argumentative about spirit talk. But my question is, why is that spirit often wait till something tragic, like when Vicki took her life, to make themselves clearly understandable? I want to say this at this point. Cindy has shown much courage and grace in sharing her experiences with us. And I know Cindy. I've had the honour and pleasure to meet with her. I've had the honour and pleasure to work with her and to know her. And I think that it takes great courage, kind of sharing at the level that she's sharing. My question is, why is it that spirit often wait till something tragic, like Vicki took her life, to make themselves clearly understandable? I remember it, for example, after my grandmother passed, 1111 kept showing up everywhere. Me being a dumbass thought it was a lucky number. Spent lots of money on lottery with that number. Then when Vicki died, that number kept reappearing again. That was my big aha moment regarding that, and furthermore, 7 started mixing with Grandma's ones. I know that it is Vicki coming through with Omar, not to mention, of course, all the coins and feathers. So I always wondered why they don't just knock us over the head from the get-go. We could all learn a lot from the innate for sure. Their abilities greatly exceed ours. I think this is, such a profound question. Why don't they just knock us over the head from the get-go? Why is it that it takes tragic situations, takes tragic circumstances to kind of grab our attention? Now, I've really sat with this for some time, and really kind of listened, and also it's something that I've explored at different times with some of the people that I'm privileged to work with. And I think it's not that they wait. I think there's a couple of things here that I want to kind of probably share and explore. And remember what I always say, these are my experiences. I'm not saying they are 100% right. They're my thoughts, feelings and experiences, and based on conversations and experiences with the innate. But I think there's a couple of things here that are worth exploring. And one of them is that I believe that most people, some shape and form, have had an experience, have had contact with something they can't understand, something beyond themselves. There's a project that I really would all encourage you to go and explore. That's beginning to share these stories, and it's a project called the Deaf Dialogues Project. The lady, incredible lady, who absolutely sees that death is something that we all need to most definitely talk about a lot more. Something that within our ancient cultures we embraced a lot more fully. And today, maybe in our Western culture and our Western mindset, it's not something that we talk about openly, comfortably, and yet we believe, Becky most definitely believes with the way that she approaches the death dialogues, is that it's something that for healing to happen, we need to talk about, we need to embrace, we need to share, we need to sit together. And she is fronting a I don't even want to call it a project because it is so much greater than that. A vision. She's fronting up a vision that is beginning to bring together people that have experienced tragic loss, experienced death, experienced grief in a real, raw, rugged, powerful way. And the stories, and also the stories of contact or experiences of contact beyond that process. So Deaf Dialogues Project, I will put a link within this video, and I know that she's also on social media, i.e. Facebook. She runs a regular podcast. But some of these stories of people then who have gone on to have encounters or contact from the other side, and these are people that at the time may not have expected all that to happen. So my feeling is the innate answer about this is that most people experience contact in one shape or form, but absolutely, as you say, Cindy, may put it down to a number of different things. The other thing I feel that, and this really does touch the heart of your question, is when we're kind of moving through life, quite often, and I've said this before, but there's another layer to this within this kind of shared discussion, this shared experience, is that we tend to move through life. I have a good friend says, you're either moving in time or you're moving through time. And I think for so many people they're moving through time, so they don't always notice those subtle experiences. As Spirit have said time and time again in these last few years, they have to work harder at reaching us. They have to work harder at making contact because we are so preoccupied. So for me to notice who's around me when I work with a client, when I have the privilege and honour to work with somebody, is that I'm aware of my environment. I'm more aware of the here and now. I'm more present. Okay, to connect, I become more present. So it's something I've learnt to be. It's something I've nurtured in me. Something that they have grown in me. So we notice, which means that I'm more in time rather than moving through time. Okay, so I'm more in time than moving through time. And I get a sense of, for most people is they're looking at everything else that they need to do within their lives. And sadly, when we have a experience that absolutely turns everything upside down in the way that you experience, Cindy, and those many people that are sharing within the Deaf Dialogues, is what happens is it rips you open, it throws you upside down, and it rips you open. And when you're feeling that ripped open, you're more ripped open, you're more open, you're more somehow sensitized to what is going on around you, and therefore in they come, because that sense of feeling ripped open, that sense of feeling absolutely sensitized is completely there. Then what happens is they appear. As I say often, Spirit have had to change the way they interact with us, whereas they could gently just drop into the environment and kind of enhance or emanate is the key word, emanate their presence. Now they're having to stand and linger in a doorway and emanate their presence a lot louder. and we've said this before, we pick up on someone standing in a doorway or at the top of the stairs or in a passageway or in our bedroom door when we wake up halfway through the night. It's because those doorways are transitional spaces. We are more aware of them. But when we have an experience that really throws our world upside down, we are literally just torn open. And in that sense of tearing open, we are more sensitive, and they seem to then knock us over the head. It's that we are more aware of. I think and also the other thing we are primed. It's like we are literally just pulling upon that sense of maybe there is, and then in it seems to slot, but with concrete affirmation, concrete kind of personal confirmation that this is something that is beyond the everyday. I think this is something that we can really really get and explore a lot deeper going forward. So I would like to kind of stir up those thoughts and feelings about the whys. Why is it, as Cindy said, why is it they don't just knock us over the head from the get-go? I think that in a way they are, and they do. I if I look back on my experience of how I come into this, I was, as a young child at 7 years old. Many of you will know the story, and if you don't, again, I'll put a link. I'll write down some links here. I'll put a link within this video. It's the video 5 signs Spirit want to make contact with you. I had experience when I was 7 years old of my grandmother appearing, who I don't have no recollection of because she passed when I was only 2. But if we kind of explore that, I weren't looking for it. I certainly wasn't looking for it. Maybe I was, without a doubt, open to it. And as I said in my previous video about empathy, I know that there's a fine-tuned sensitivity in there. And then as I grew, for a very short period of time was in a military background, and one of the things that it done, kind of moving through exercises in the middle of the night, it sensitized my awareness and fine-tuned my awareness. I know now with some of the things that I do when I walk across through a woodland, is that I'm very aware of the environment. So I think that short spell of time within that environment fine-tuned my awareness and my sensitivity to the environments around me, and therefore I started to notice the innate standing in my environment. So it's all interconnected, it's all interrelated. Hopefully that stirred up some thought for all of you. There will be another video that will follow this next week from another subscriber who's asking something very similar. For those of you that are members within the Academy, we will take another look at this and a deeper insight to this as well. I will put links to the 5 signs Spirit wants to talk to you, also links to the Death Dialogue project and the stories. Really amazing project, but as I say, I believe it's something greater than a project. It is absolutely a very heartfelt vision. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope that's helped. And once again, want to just absolutely heartfelt say to Cindy, it takes great courage, and we thank you for sharing all that you share with us in the way that you do. Until the next time, take care guys, keep shining and look after you.